The internet has been an incredible engine of our economy. It has driven economic growth. It has created millions of new jobs. And it has enabled entrepreneurs to start with nothing. The internet's the great equalizer. It used to be that to start a business, you needed capital, you needed an inventory, you needed a distribution system. For many, starting a business was an incredibly high hurdle to overcome. The internet has democratized small business. Now anybody with an idea and a dream can create a website and sell whatever product or service they like all over the world. Unfortunately, wherever freedom flourishes, Washington gets nervous. And almost inevitably, regulators and tax collectors see people prospering on the internet and they want to tax it, regulate it, and otherwise stifle its growth. That would be a serious, serious mistake. One of the critical reasons the internet has flourished and driven the economy worldwide is that it has been free of taxes and free of unnecessary government regulations. It has allowed people to experiment, allowed people to start with nothing and take on the giant established companies. There are some in Washington, unfortunately in both parties, who are eager to tax the internet. The internet sales tax is a terrible idea. The internet sales tax would take small mom and pop internet sellers all across the country and subject them to the taxing authority and to the enforcement authority of over 9,600 jurisdictions all across the country. If you're a small business owner, a single mom in Plano, Texas, who's got a website, who's selling online, under the internet sales tax, you're suddenly responsible for knowing what the school taxes are in Albany, New York, for knowing what the water district taxes are in Sacramento, California. It is enormously burdensome, and it's completely unnecessary. The internet has flourished for decades without an internet sales tax. And you know, this issue is one of the great issues that highlights the divide between the so-called swamp and the rest of the country. In Washington, D.C., in the Capitol, the internet sales tax is actually quite popular because lobbyists of every stripe like the idea of imposing crushing taxes on small startups. The big retailers, the big online retailers, the big box stores all stand united in wanting government to make it harder and harder for competition to enter the marketplace. But if you get out of this 10 square miles of insanity called Washington, D.C., and you talk to real Americans, it's not a complicated question. Should we have sales taxes, forced internet sales taxes across the country? No. That's a 60, 70, 80% issue anywhere other than Washington, D.C. There is talk that as part of this omnibus bill, the lobbyists in the swamp will try to stick an internet sales tax on to this omnibus bill. I think that would be a serious, serious mistake. I think it would be inconsistent with the promises we've made the voters, inconsistent with the promises we've made young people. Young people in particular have enjoyed a freedom of speech, a freedom of free enterprise on the internet that is unprecedented in human history. And the only thing possible that could screw it up is a bunch of Washington politicians coming along taxing the living daylights out of it. Let's keep the internet free. Happy to answer some questions.
Do you have any sense of how likely this is to get in the omnibus?
I don't know. There is considerable chatter. The D.C. lobbyists are pushing very, very hard. They couldn't get it through on a regular vote on its own. They jammed it through the Senate, but the House wouldn't pass it. The House was designed to be the people's body, to be representative of the people, and the members of the House understood an internet sales tax is incredibly unpopular. with real people, with real voters. That's why this cynical plan has been cooked up to jam it onto the omnibus in the hope that people will vote for the omnibus and just not notice that they're raising taxes on millions of Americans. And the people that are hurt the most by the internet sales tax are the little guys. It is designed to hammer the mom and pop retailers online. It's one of the important things to realize. The reason Washington lobbyists are so united on this issue is because you have all of the bricks and mortar retailers who want to erect barriers to their competition, but you also have the large online retailers. Of the 20 biggest online retailers, 19 of them have a physical presence in every state with a sales tax, which means 19 of them are already paying these taxes anyway. The big guys. This is not a battle of Amazon versus Walmart. The big guys are all paying these taxes. This is about all the big guys trying to get Washington to slam the little guys, the startup, the people just getting going. And the compliance costs alone are enormous. Not to mention very serious constitutional problems with this internet sales tax. The Supreme Court has ruled that states lack the authority to tax people in distant states that they have no connection to. And there have been long-standing due process challenges that if you're minding your own business, running a business in one state and you've got an internet portal, you have not chosen to, as the legal doctrine goes, purposely avail yourself of another jurisdiction such that you can get hailed into court. If the internet sales tax passes, what it means is you got a whole bunch of Washington politicians saying any state that wants to could start regulating the businesses in every other state. So if you're in my home state of Texas, if this thing passes, get ready for the state of California to start deciding if they can tax Texas businesses, you better believe they're going to start trying to regulate Texas businesses. And I got to say, the people of Texas don't want the California legislature regulating them, in significant part because they're not accountable. You know, these due process protections, they fundamentally come down to, in Texas businesses are regulated by Texas legislatures. If the Texas legislature does something foolish, Texas businesses have an immediate recourse. They can go and, as they say, vote the bums out. Their constituents, they have a democratic accountability. If, on the other hand, some legislature in a distant state imposes taxes and regulations on you, you don't have any recourse. You don't have any ability to hold them accountable. And so this due process protection is a very fundamental protection of our liberty.